What's up, everyone? This is Alex, and welcome to a new episode of the Creative Matters podcast. Today, I sat down with a friend of mine who's a composer who works in Japan, in the Japan video game music industry, and he composed music for games such as Resident Evil 6, Street Fighter 5, Pro Evolution Soccer, and many more. And I sat down and picked his brain into his experiences with working into the Japanese gaming industry as a foreigner from Sweden, and his take on how to embrace a state of flow whenever you're composing music. It's a bit of a long interview, but I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, let's check it out now. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Alex, and I'm here with my friend Daniel Lindholm.
Hello there.
And for those of you who don't know him, well, he's a composer who works in the video game industry in Japan. And I met him when I was in Japan, in Tokyo. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. But for those of us who don't know you, why don't you tell us a brief introduction about who you are, Daniel?
All right. My name is Daniel, obviously. I come from Sweden, and I've been living in Japan since 2005. And I had a very long upbringing with music, and it was always by thinking, what should I do? And my father always pushed me to become a music producer. And later on, I got a little bit of a passion for writing music for film. But of course, and I realized the film industry in Sweden is not that big, and then all the movies pretty suck. So I was thinking maybe I should go to the United States, but then I realized it's a similar social structure in Sweden as in the United States. It's not about what you can do, it's all about who you know. And I felt like I didn't have the right way to connect with people there. So, and I value skill higher than personal relationships. So I was looking which country actually evaluates people like that, and the easiest answer was Japan.
Oh wow!
So I moved here, and I found a job within like 2 or 3 weeks, but not music related first. But in 2008, I managed to finally go pro writing music for some of the biggest AAA companies in the world, and now I've been working with probably every one of those, like Konami, Namco Bandai, Sega, and of course Capcom.
That's pretty damn good, man. And how many years did that take? Like from we moved to Japan in what year?
It took me maybe about 2 or 3 years to finally see these connections coming up. Like there was an advertisement in a newspaper, and that's how how it all started.
Wow.
My girlfriend at the time, she told me that, hey, there's this agency and they're having a music competition. They're looking for music for a sports game. Maybe you should try it out.
What game was it?
Well, if someone says sports game from Japan, and you only probably know one of them, and I thought the same thing, Pro Evolution Soccer.
Oh, yeah, man. Back in the day.
Yeah. It's pretty big in Italy, right?
Yeah, it was. When I was little, I remember I played that game. So you made the music for Pro Evolution Soccer?
Well, not quite. As I said, I was doing this competition, and when I was done, I mean, they had a little bit of limitation. If you just like a punk band, send in 3 songs. But if you do all kinds of music, send in at least 7 songs and 2 songs with vocals, not sampled vocals, but real vocals from scratch.
Wow.
So I did everything from like German operatic music to Ibiza dance music to big beats, Prodigy, a little bit of David Holmes, and then some Spanish influenced house music. And then I was like, send it away. And then 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from this people who had this competition. And they said first, like, is this Daniel Lindholm? Yeah, I'm speaking. How can I help? Well, here's the thing. We got some good news and some bad news.
Oh.
Okay. What's the bad news? Well, we think they're crazy not to pick you out of the other people out there because of your extreme width and broad variety of music. And I said, okay, so what's the good news? Well, you actually brought something new. We've never seen anyone like this before. And we're thinking, I mean, usually we have an agency that promotes like artists and actors, but we never really had been able to offer customized music services before. So we're thinking about starting a composers pool. It's like, are you interested? And I was like, thinking in my head, no. No, of course I didn't say that. So I said, yeah, it sounds interesting.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, yeah. And then they said as well that, okay, now here's the thing. We really would like to work with you, but we need to give a few more people the chance so we can have some kind of group or unity that we can promote on the internet. So they set up a meeting, and I got to meet 7 other composers. And they were like from Germany, United States, a few from Japan. And together at this meeting, we introduced ourselves. At the very same meeting, we actually got ourselves out of nowhere. We got drafted to write the soundtrack, which is going to become my first AAA game, which is Pro Evolution Soccer 2009 Playmaker for the Nintendo Wii. And
wow.
That's how it all started off.
Man, that's like starting with a bang. Did you have, like, did you do other professional composer jobs before going to Japan?
I might have done a few commercial radio spots in my local town, in my hometown in Skövde, but it was like small 30 seconds pieces of music and some hyper voice on top of that. So
got it. So how did
and of course, I mean, at the time, Sweden was like really good with the gaming industry and all that stuff. They could produce really good looking games, but it all started from the demo scene, you know, like very tight knitted groups with creative minds, and those friendships forged like a position inside their company. So like, if you were a composer in the demo group, then you're obviously the composer for the company now. So there was like very little leeway to find a music composer job in Sweden because of that.
Yeah, you have to work it up and meet the people and all the things. Well, do you think it's the same? Like about like if say I wanted to go and get a job as a composer in Japan, maybe it wouldn't work with newspapers anymore. But are they still open like that? That you can just, you know, propose yourself, pitch your music to studios, and then if they're interested in the skill you provide, they're gonna hire you?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Or is it more about connections now?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, when you're a foreigner in a new country, who can vouch for you? I mean, that's the biggest thing. Who can tell you that this guy, we can trust him, please hire us and we'll give you him as our main guy for you to use. Yeah. So always have someone in proxy, usually a Japanese salesperson who knows who you are. You talk to the salesperson and then they can promote you. So that's probably number one. Just going straight into like some guy wanted to write music for Metal Gear Solid, as I recall, and I was told by my agent that never really happens because
that happened though. Do you know Daniel James?
Yeah, I was about to get to that because. The thing was that I wanted to write music for Metal Gear Solid, but my agent shut me down. Like, no, there's never going to be a chance to do that.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, so why is it? Like, me, man, I said, maybe, I don't know what the problem is. Maybe they have a feeling that working with that client has been a hassle before and they don't want to get involved again or something. It could be something like that.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm not sure. So I never really got the shot to do anything with Metal Gear, but as I see it, Metal Gear was finished at Metal Gear Solid 4, and I was like, anything beyond that now, it's just trying to cram life out of a dead racehorse. I mean,
that's what people say, like with
it. Yeah,
with 5. And I've never played the saga myself, so I don't know, but that's what people are saying. Although I saw Daniel James, and that was very inspiring what he was able to make. But you too, like you make music for Resident Evil 6, right? And other big games.
Yeah. So that was my own little beat. I mean, because I always looked at Metal Gear Solid to be something that's completely its own universe, you know, and it's like, it's very holy. It's a great main theme. Whatever you do with that, it's still just going to be filler material. So I didn't worry about that. But yeah, Resident Evil 6 definitely was an interesting story.
And what genre of music? What genre of music did they have you make there? Was it like more orchestral, cinematic, or a big beat again?
The funny thing was that I was not given this job. We had to do a paid demo. It's like we had to pay to play. so to speak.
Really?
Yeah. So my agent said, we'll pay your entrance fee for 20,000 yen, and then we can give you the paperwork for you, what you should submit to this game. But the thing is that I didn't know I was auditioning for Resident Evil 6 at the time. So I was like,
why
I
should
just
I pay?
gave it all that I had, because everything is secret, so secret that when you're trying out for a game, you don't know what game you're ending up with. But then it turns out that when I submitted my stuff, and that was a crazy thing, because doing the game sensitive interactive stuff in the music, it's so easy because you don't need to think about melody or harmonies. It's just going to be this unit of sound that mixes well together, going from part to part. But the hardest thing was probably to come up with a good splash screen kind of music that has kind of a thematic theme to it.
Yeah.
And they gave us this idea that you have 1 minute and 20 seconds to get the player interested, to press that play button, and really get them engaged to, and think about this splash screen to be like something out of 24. And it's like, okay.
I never thought of that. Like, writing music like that, the music of an intro of a game needs to entice the player into pressing the start button. That's a good observation. Yeah. So that's one of the many obstacles you might have to face as a video game composer. How is your experience as a video game composer? Like, what are the things, like, say someone in my community wants to become a video game composer, and obviously I want to, but if you have some word of advice for someone who's about to get into that field, what would you tell them? Tell them in terms of like mindset or challenges to expect. Like, for example, did it ever happen? Like my worst nightmare is saying yes for composing for a game, and they tell me, okay, you have 1 week to write, I don't know, 10 hours of music. Does that ever happen?
10 hours of music in 1 week? No, that does not happen.
Okay.
But they do have, the good thing is that I'm not talking directly to the game producers. I'm actually talking to the music supervisor or the sound director.
Yeah.
And they know the process, how long it usually takes to write music accordingly. So they set up their own little deadline that you have to meet.
And usually
when I started... when I started writing music, I could cram out like a song within 3 hours and send it away to the client. And they're like, whoa, shit, that was quick. Yeah. But that was like when I was young, and I was stupid. When you're young, you're stupid, and you want to prove yourself to people you don't know, right? Okay. And it ended up that I was like sending in stuff ahead of deadline.
And it wasn't very polished.
Yeah, no, it was really polished. But the thing is that you get so many things to revise before the initial deadline. Oh. So my main tip for everybody, even if you're a good fast worker, I would suggest that keep that deadline there. Don't send anything before the deadline, because maybe you work on a song for 2 or 3 days, and then you take a break for a day, and then you come back and then you listen to the song, and it's like, oh, my mix is not that good. Take time to mix that stuff, and then you feel I need to add something more on it, and then you send it in. So that's how I'm working now. And it feels like I'm more in control of the deadline rather than that deadline is controlling me. Yeah. So that's one tip for sure. But when it comes, like, as you said, writing music for computer games, there are so many different ways of writing music for computer games. But I can tell you, like in making an adventure game, there should barely be no melody at all, because it needs to loop, and maybe you have like a 2 minutes segment that you have to write music, and hopefully you will have layers of tracks on top of that, so that 2 minutes can be expanded to maybe 20 minutes of different layers coming in and out, and make it very dynamic.
Got it. Yeah. So it's all about like maybe short motifs that repeat. I don't know, some string staccatos and some percussion and whatever, rhythmic stuff that doesn't really have that melodic element to it as much.
Exactly. There's like avoid melodies. I mean, that's up to the music supervisor to say, but most of the time through Resident Evil 6 was like, all right, you're going to do this action scene here. We might want a motif of that, but no melody whatsoever.
Wow.
Like, okay.
that for me would be very tough.
They were like thinking, it's like, okay, Picasso, paint this picture, but you don't get a brush.
Yeah. It's like Wow. So that's one of the obstacles of video game music in a certain sense.
But now, from that limitation that don't use melody, you actually start to think about a more sonic quality to the music that wasn't there before. You get to play around with a lot more tips and tricks. I mean, it's so amazing that when they give you an idea or a concept for a song, it's like, okay, in this case, don't use any rhythm instruments. Okay,
and that creates a new idea
really
on how to,
cool.
like,
I mean,
like I think limitations can help you into finding a path towards a specific idea or something. And sometimes it's good to say, hey, I'm not gonna use this. Like, I'm not gonna do a 4/4. I'm gonna do like 7/4 or 5/4 or something like that. And it creates new ideas entirely.
Exactly. And I mean, one of the rhythms I started to use a lot in Resident Evil 6 was 6/4.
Wow.
It's like, because you get a 3/4, but then you play a rock drums on top of it like normal 4/4. It actually gets even, you know, and it kind of creates this kind of a action militaristic drive and still something very modern to it. So that was a pattern I came back to quite a lot, and some 7/8 for the more goofy mutant moments in the game. But I mean, it was amazing. What I heard, a lot of people were auditioning for getting themselves into Resident Evil 6, but they only had 4 spots open. So,
wow.
Yeah. And I think it was like maybe 20, maybe 30 people from LA, from Hollywood, that were trying out for these 4 spots, and being one of the guys to get there.
How did you, how did you get, you also made some of the music for Street Fighter 2, like the advertisements. So not 2, Street Fighter. Which one was it? 5?
Street Fighter 5, yeah.
5, yeah. I'm out of the loop. I've never played those games, but those are quite big games, like Resident Evil, which, by the way, the new one, like they're making a remake of Resident Evil 2 next week or something, and I'm looking forward to that one a lot. And I remember playing Resident Evil 6 back in the day, but I never played Street Fighter. But these games are pretty huge. How, like, with all the competition that they must entail, how do you manage to rise on top of that? Because, like, fighting against like 30 composers from LA, you know, it's a, you know, bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, now that was a fun thing, because the Resident Evil 6 was like pure competition. So I didn't really know who these other people were. But with Street Fighter 5, it was pretty much like out of nowhere.
Okay.
It's like, I do remember I was talking to a guy, yes, a few weeks before I had in 2016, at the end of 2016, I believe.
Yeah.
And he's a music writer, and he was working as an intern at one of the agencies. And we sat down and talked a little bit, and he wanted to know how to write music, virtual orchestration, stuff like that, what you should and shouldn't do. And I gave him the biggest thing was that never use compressors on acoustic instruments if you're going to put a virtual orchestra together. And then I didn't think much about that later. But when he saw my music and all that stuff, he had actually started talking with some people around, and the word reached Capcom somehow.
Wow.
And when I got back, actually, the funny thing was that right before I was going on vacation, I received a message from another agent. And they said, hey, are you interested to write the opening credits for Tekken 7?
Oh,
it's
shit.
like, whoa,
really?
That's something I really wanted to do.
Man.
So I said, okay, here's the thing. My schedule is this. I'm going to be outside the country from December 26th. And I'll be back on January 2nd. And they said, okay, cool. We're going to talk to the client, and they really would like to have you there. And then just the day before I left, they said, I'm sorry, it's not going to work out. So I was devastated, you know.
No,
I didn't get
Tekken
to
7,
do
I mean,
that.
that's a huge franchise. That's one of, like, I grew up with that game. And the 7 has incredible music right now. It's like, wow. But
yeah, 7 is really cool.
Yeah.
But who knows? I might get another chop at it again.
But again, so this one was about connection. Like, you met the right person at the right time. So sometimes it's like that. Other times it's like, so
the thing was that just 2 months later, after the Tekken debacle, I get a phone call from the guy I talked to earlier and said, you know what? The word has reached that Capcom. Do you know Street Fighter 5? I was like, yeah, I played in Street Fighter 2. This is interesting. And I said, oh, well, here's the thing. Would you like to write music for Street Fighter 5? They have like a DLC, a new character that's never been played before. And I was like, okay, I'm doing DLC. Let's see what happens. And that turned out to be Ed the Boxer. And the thing is that Ed's music is hip hop. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a hip hopper, okay? So I was like, but I've done some hip hop music before, but it was never really like real hip hop. It was just a mix and match of stuff together like that. Yeah. And I thought, man, hip hop in its simplest terms is very, very repetitive, very, very simple music. So I think anybody can make a hip hop.
Yeah, it's more about like flow, kind of like the vibe.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing was that I thought, that's it. I'm just going to make a hip hop beat based on this song. And they had like given me like, okay, actually the thing was that they asked me, do you have any hip hop? Can you show us some hip hop tunes? And I said, I don't really have anything right now, but if you give me 3 hours, I will have something for you. Wow. So I produced a hip hop track based on their specs, and I sent it in to them. I was like, again, they were like, holy shit.
It's very fast.
All right, this is really good, you know. It's really good.
So your asset has been your versatility, right? Like
yeah. Don't get stuck into one genre of music. Try many different things and always experiment when you have time. But the thing is that they said, okay, you are a guy, we would like you to write music for this character. So here, we can give you the full specs about the character. So they gave me pictures, they gave me PDF sheets of possible phrases he would see and what he would say, and then maybe a video so I can see how he's bouncing around there. And those kind of indicates for me where the music needs to go. But right now, I didn't have any chance to like craft an original tune. But the basis for the song was based on Eminem, "Lose Yourself."
Oh, okay.
And then I changed it around. I changed its instrumentation. But the thing was, later it's like, this is so boring. There's nothing really happening dynamically with the music, because hip hop is just flat. So I was thinking, sure, hip hop use orchestral samples, but not like a really fully orchestrated orchestra. So I was
thinking, you have to find the good stuff. There are a few songs in there that do, but that's very rare.
And I think adding this orchestra actually created this dynamic flow that later I heard that, okay, this is great. Now here's the thing. We're going to have a rap on this song. I was like, what? Rap in a game? What? You want me, a Swedish country boy, make a rap about the most aggressive player in the world? Wow. I mean, that was what I was thinking. I was like, these guys must be crazy or something.
Yeah, but they had someone else rap over the track, right? I
was like, who? All right, so they was like, just keep that in mind for the rest of the arrangement. And I said, okay, I mean, there's nothing much I can do, because when the rap comes there, it's 20% of the song. So I was just basically waiting for the files to arrive. And the rapper names is Caleb Combs. And he provided 2 versions of the rap. And I was just, and when I got the rap, he heard my song and written lyrics to it. And I said, before I listen to the rap, I just want to say, if there's the word fist in there, I'm going to be super happy.
Okay.
And then I played the rap, and he provided the main rap and 2 backup channels where he shouts words in unison. Yeah. And it's like, fist comes in, and it's like, shit, this is it, Okay. And I was like, and then I felt A version was the perfect blend of aggressiveness that really fits the character. Version B was more laid back. So I told Capcom, please go with version A. This is the one. And they agreed. And that's how I started with Street Fighter V. And I thought, this is it. I'm in Street Fighter V now. And I'm not going to do any more Street Fighter V.
Okay.
But 2 weeks later, they called again. I was like, what is it? Well, we have another character that's brand new for Street Fighter V. Menat, the fortune teller, one of Rose's proteges.
So they asked you to do another genre again? Or was it a different genre?
Yeah, now it was... now, this was funny. So as I said, do you write trance music?
Oh,
and of course, When you think about trance music, what is your image of trance music?
Of course,
How does
Netherlands,
it
Sweden.
sound?
In terms of sound,
Yeah.
uplifting, energetic, and like electronic, and like something that has a rhythm that gets you going, like it's like
Right.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Like
Stuff like that. And there's also like a Goa trance and normal trance, so it's like many different genres.
Exactly. So I sent in 3 tracks to them, like, okay, here is some trance music.
But was it tracks that you made in the past, or did you just create new tracks in 3 hours?
I actually have those 3 versions for this character theme on my YouTube channel, but I renamed the tracks there. They're actually not used at all for the character, but those from like my 3 drafts for this character. And then they said, this is not what we're looking for. Let us show you a YouTube link. And they sent me a link, and the tag underneath the music was post-German rock.
What?
Oh, I was like, okay. If you would have said psychedelic trance with hard rock influences, I would probably get that as post-German rock. So I said, okay, you want me to write progressive metal music? Okay. So the terminology in Japan is so different from the terminology from the West.
Yeah.
So you and I, we had the same image of electronic Goa trance influences, which I would think would be really cool for the character.
Yeah.
But they went to this other thing. So it was like, okay, it's not trance music. I'm doing progressive metal now with the influences on Steve Vai and John Petrucci.
So that's not trance at all.
Like, Joey Satriani, you know. And that's
a whole different world.
I didn't think, it's a total different world of music. But in the end, I just didn't think so much about the character. And I guess I was going to create this space where you can feel like you're flying through the air. And the melody, I mean, that's what I like about fighting games, thematic music writing. That's something you don't get to do in computer games at all, except maybe Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's probably why I like that game so much. Like, there's so many melodies and themes in Final Fantasy, and Tekken as well, like in their fighting game. Very beautiful. So you were able to just mess around and do your own thing, and like the themes and everything.
Yeah, I got to use my virtual guitar. I used to have a real guitar before, but I sold it because I couldn't really play on a 7-string with a Floyd Rose. So I was using it was called V Metal, I think it's called, the Contact library.
What is your music upbringing though? Like, because like for being able to compose so many genres in such a quick time, like this is something we should have mentioned in the beginning of the call. Like,
well, I was brought up in a very musical based family, but I went through music school, and from there I was having saxophone. So I was aimed toward classical music and jazz. I didn't dare think about listening to hard rock because I never knew what my parents would say. But progressive metal was fine. So Dream Theater was frequently played in my home.
Oh, nice.
Well, let's talk about jazz music. Mezzo forte are really cool. Funk fusion.
You were like, were you also like, so you were classically trained? As you
I would say classically trained. I got the music theory, jazz harmony, contrapunct, and all that stuff was taken care of.
Of course, that really helped into writing music in like a very small amount of hours and stuff like that.
Yeah, so basically, learning the music theory now, if I have no other creative options to go to, the music theory just makes me work automatically. It just saves so much time.
Yeah.
2-5-1s and all that stuff. So
so if you could go back, like, say when you were just starting in video game music in Japan, right? Yeah. And like you could meet your old self and give him, I don't know, 3 pieces of advice. What would those be?
Oh, wow. 3 pieces of advice to myself from today. Okay. 1, of course, don't work. I know if you can work fast, but keep the deadlines ahead of you. Don't work ahead of the deadline. Use the time that you have to maximize your efforts to make it sound good and like mixing the song properly. That's the thing. When they say send in a demo, they're expecting a fully sounding product.
Okay.
Not something that is scrapped.
So it's not a demo. It's like send us the track itself.
Exactly. And see where we're going from. So it cannot be half-assed.
Okay.
The second thing, Of course, I wish I had the access to learn more Japanese before I arrived in this country.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know a lot of the customs here, though. But in my country, Japanese was not a popular language, so it was really hard to find literature to really learn to speak it.
Yeah.
But after here now, I've been here for 15 years, almost 14 years. I mean, it's like, what is business English? Business English is easy English. So learn the musical side of Japanese, it's really, really easy. So communicating with music is basically 50-50 English and Japanese, or a little bit of Italian terms in there.
Okay, yeah, true.
So from that point on, it's really easy to talk to people when it comes to music. But after that, like, okay, let's go party, like after the business meeting.
Yeah, and then
you draw a blank, So
you can just drink and you start speaking languages you didn't know you knew stuff.
And so that's point number 2. And point number 3, of course, you can never really like walk straight into a company and hope they will give you a job. And of course, so I always have a good prepared demo with you and have somebody represent you.
Okay.
Because they trust a Japanese face better than your foreign face straight.
Sure.
So that's the thing. So get yourself an agent who can represent you. Work the deadline as your don't produce fast for the deadline. Keep that deadline as your personal motivator to get a really good sounding product. And then what did I say as my second point?
Affiliate with the Japanese.
Yeah. Learn Japanese. Learn Japanese. That's simple communication. That's all they need. They only care about your way to produce music. And if that communication strain is working, then you don't need to worry.
Okay, got it. And I guess the fourth point for you would be like the third was to, work with the Japanese salesman. And the fourth one might be just, learn to be versatile and be of value.
Of course. Have a big, that was the thing. Before I left Japan, I was already writing all kinds of music. So be versatile. And even if like I was given this, write a hip hop track. Yeah. And it's like, why me? Why do they pick me? What's the point of that? Because I believe what made that track stand out for Ed the Boxer was that if they would have hired a real hip hop artist, he would go back and doing his old thing. He would not be new or creative. So taking a person who has a different approach to hip hop, it will actually give a little bit of a different result, but it also gives that kind of a unique kind of sounding feel. So even if they approach you to write a music genre you are not sure that you can handle, there's a reason why they approach you. Yeah. They want to hear something new and unique from a person who's never done it before,
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I never thought about this before. And also the idea of like doing many different genres. I've always been a guy who I've always been kind of like that, because I like different genres. But now I'm trying to focus more in orchestral music because I'm like going to the laser focus route where you do one thing and you do it very well. But today you talked about this and I see now the value in being versatile. And maybe it's more very valuable in the Japanese market than it is, I don't know, in Western markets. But, that's a good point that you made here.
Yeah, also the industry has changed so much that usually the musician would be in charge of one game only, and you would he would do the entire game. That was the truth before 2012. But now, since you can start selling games in bits and pieces, so many more openings are opening up for a lot of people. And today, Resident Evil 6, we were like 12 composers on that thing. So I was not really in charge of a full soundtrack, which I think would have helped to like doing it the Western way, like they do Call of Duty, have one guy do that, put it in.
They're usually now getting film composers to do those sort of video game soundtracks, like Brian Tyler and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I even thought the film composers, that's actually what I wanted to be as a kid. And that's because when I was watching movies, I was like, wow, all the music was made by one guy. And I'm looking at Star Wars, and the of course, John Williams. He did the classical music, and then you get to the cantina scene. It's like, wow,
I
cool.
remember that one.
He's doing jazz. It's like, only one guy. There's like no one hired. It's like he did everything. Maybe not the orchestration stuff, but he had the melodic content and all that arrangement stuff.
Yeah.
But then handed off to the other guys so they could concentrate and bring it out to the people. But I mean, that I always found like, wow, movie music is so flexible. You can do whatever you want, and even if it's just for 3 seconds of film, you can do something really amazing.
Yeah, I think
and then
back in the day,
forever,
back in the day used to be way more versatile. Now it's a bit more standardized. Some soundtracks are still freaking good. Like the other day, I went to see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and the music there.
I haven't seen it yet. It hasn't arrived yet. So no spoilers.
Go watch it. You're gonna love the music. It was very good.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. If it has a good thematic thing to it, then I will definitely watch it, because the thing is that starting from 2008 until all the way to this day, most of the games have been tracked to hell with Hans Zimmer, The Dark Knight, and it's like, and the thing was that everybody is doing that easy option. They're not really scoring the movie now. It's just about making this bed and then give the stems to the music supervisor and mixer, and then they can mix the music more dynamically inside, and then that's it, So
I wonder, I think composers
computer game approach to film music today. But I do miss the old school thematic writing.
Oh, yeah, a lot. For sure. Maybe that will come back.
10, 11 years, I haven't been able to remember a single song when going outside the movie theater. And that's pretty concerning.
Yeah, that's
as you said, it's very standard. They're playing it safe.
I wonder if it will come back, And if they do it this way, sure it is because it works, but it does kill the music a little bit like that. But I wonder, maybe people will get bored of not remembering things from movies, and they're going to be more into movies with themes again in the future. Who knows? But there's been a few good soundtracks.
Yeah. 80s are coming back, man, and I just hope the music going the same way. And if, new synthwave, that's what a nostalgia trip, It's like... Yeah. And those are very good melodies, and then we can get that back into movies using the Miami Vice kind of style of scoring movies. That would be awesome. I think they did it with Drive, and it's like,
but that was 2006, right? Something like that.
I think 2015 or 2016, something like that.
Wait, Drive 2016?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
With
Right.
Yeah, it's what's his name? He's wearing this very cool jacket and
Ryan Gosling. Right?
Yeah, Ryan Gosling. Yeah.
Wow, I thought he was much older, but yeah, oh my god. But yeah, it was a good movie.
Exactly. So I'm just glad those stuff are coming back now.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Yeah, let's hope so. Okay, so I heard that you also teach music as well, right? Where can people find your teachings? Like, do you teach online? What do you do? Like, because also this thing about being able to compose an entire demo in 3 hours, that's something I would like to learn. So where can I learn that from you?
All right. Fun thing is that I do have workshops, and I actually started last year doing these workshops, and they're based around the concept of using flow state. And flow state is like this immediate feeling of how do I make the right decisions? When do I do the tough calls? And so I'm speeding up my workflow that way. And how can I self-evaluate myself? And that is, in a simplicity, is based around the philosophy of Bruce Lee, like, don't think, feel,
Oh, man, that's a great guy.
And I apply that to the way I'm writing music. So basically, I usually have a 45, 50-minute presentation of myself and the flow state. And then I have about a 3-hour workshop after that. And that usually
where do you do those workshops?
I usually got invited to like these game conventions. And last year I was like a last minute replacement, because they were supposed to have a guy who wrote music for World of Warcraft to come there and talk or be interviewed or whatever, but he didn't have a workshop or anything, and he was there for 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So they knew that I had made a presentation at the university, my hometown of all places. And they asked me, like, oh, it's August now, but we have this Sweden Game Conference in October. Would you like to come and do a presentation and a workshop with us? And
That's very good.
and I never done that before, so I thought, you know what? It's time to show how I work. And so we did that. And the workshop is it's like not only for musicians, because I pretend that the workshop is that the people in the audience are my clients, and they're going to have to pitch me a game or a music genre that I have to do, and maybe show me a little bit of graphic or something like that.
Nice.
And I will try to interpret that, and then we should have a demo-ready piece of music within 3 hours. And I had this work for 2 days, and the first day we did one song in 3 hours. The next day I broke my own record and wrote 2 songs in 3 hours.
Jesus,
and it's
that's
like
crazy.
The people were like, holy smokes.
So in this workshop, people can see you working, and they get understand what's your approach like.
Exactly. They will see my program projected behind me, on a big screen. And then I sit down, and then I ask back and forth with the audience, and then maybe I'll write for like 20 minutes and say, okay, now I'm stuck. And I'm going to ask the audience again, well, what do you want me to do now? And,
okay. Do you ever get like, what's your
right direction,
What's your way of facing writer's block? Which is a question I should have asked before. As someone who writes so fast, what's your strategies like on avoiding writer's block? Do you ever get that?
Block. Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, like once you get stuck in the creative process, going back to the music theory makes your brain work in autopilot.
Oh, yeah.
So all you need to do is maybe have a chord structure and then decorate that chord structure in many, many creative ways. And I think that actually sometimes have helped me build a song very simply from scratch. I mean, that's great for like puzzle games or Farmville like games. So very simple stuff that you can do like that. But anyone who asks me to like, let's do a final boss battle from something.
That one is like the worst. You have to
I
summon
did that,
all your knowledge.
It was really, really fun. So I really like the idea. So the name of the workshop is called No plans, no templates, just feelings. So everything I do is from scratch when we begin. And we have 3 hours to come up with something.
So when's the next workshop and where?
The next workshop will be held in Iran, of all places, in Tehran, at the Tehran Game Convention from July 4th to 5th.
Okay.
And I will be on one of these days. So it's going to be a 45-minute presentation and then a 3-hour workshop there.
Nice.
And I hope I can take my workshop all over the world. So
yeah, if you want to come over London, that would be amazing. I can try to, it would be cool to set up a workshop with some friends of mine, just do a full day somewhere where you just we teach our stuff to people and stuff, and we just exchange knowledge. I'm going to think of something, but yeah, so I'm going to leave links down below for the people who want to, join the workshop in Iran. And where can people find you online on social media, YouTube and stuff like that? Where can we check out your music? Do you have a playlist with, say, all the Resident Evil 6 tracks you made and all the Street Fighter, whatever, or something like that?
Now, that's a funny thing you mentioned that, as you say, here in Japan, it's all complete buyout basis. So I don't really own the music anymore, because once you're done, you send off the files, it's no longer yours.
Okay, but
so
can you, surely there's people who put the music online?
People out there put out the music, but I decide not to, because I'm afraid I will...
No, for sure. No. But I mean, do you have a playlist of all the videos from the people who put the music online?
Actually, no, but just look for Resident Evil 6, look for Chris campaign and Ada Wong, and then the online modes, and most of that is my music playing.
Okay, nice. All right.
But I'll try to fix that or something like that. I know there's some guy who's made a huge playlist of just Resident Evil songs.
Yeah, you should take yours and just make your playlist out of those videos, so that people can listen. But where can people find you on social media for you like your profile?
So on Facebook, obviously, Daniel Lindholm, and find my logo that says diversity, and then you're on the right page.
Okay.
And then SoundCloud, it's Daniel-Lindholm.
Okay.
Simple as that.
I'm gonna leave links down below in the description, so we can, you guys can join him on any social But yeah.
And then my YouTube account, obviously, that one is a vanity link, so I'm gonna have to write that one down.
Okay, we're gonna leave it down.
I will give it to you.
But Daniel, this has been a very valuable hour, and it really challenged my way of thinking on some aspects of making music, and made me understand a bit more why people appreciate music theory a lot. And yeah, so it's been very interesting for me. I hope it was very helpful for the people watching as well. And yeah, I think we can wrap it up now. As always, guys, we're gonna have another one of these maybe in the next few weeks. Let us know. If you have other questions for Daniel, you want Daniel to make another episode, that would be amazing. And again, you can join him in his workshops that maybe I will do as well, because that's very interesting stuff. And yeah, that's all. And goodbye, guys. Thank you for watching.
And kids, don't do drugs.
Make love, not drugs. Make music. Make music. Don't do drugs.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. See you.
Bye, guys. Bye, Daniel. Thank you very much. Bye.